Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle, and with me here today is absolutely nobody. This will be the first time I've kind of went solo on here, but I thought it was very important to come on. We really wanted to do a show with our reaction to the town council meeting the night that we went to. I figured it would be good to kind of debrief and give our assessment of it. I'd never been to a town council meeting before, and Simon did join me, but after the fact, we went to Ippy's and had a couple of drinks. A few folks from the meeting asked us to come by there and wanted to hang out and talk for a little bit, and I just thought it was, I'll be completely honest, this was the weirdest night of my life. I don't really know even where to begin or how to put it into perspective, but, I know that here lately, our shows have been very contentious and very thought-provoking. And I don't know, it's not really the path that I intended to take with this show. I just wanted to sit down and tell stories. I wanted people to come on here and shine a positive light on Rocky Mount, Franklin County, Appalachia, eventually extend outward. And the path to get here it didn't necessarily go the way that I anticipated it would go. We kind of got I don't want to say out of our comfort zone very early, but, after about 20 episodes, we started getting a lot of big names on this show. I never imagined we would have got on here. And I know if you're somebody that's kind of listening for the first time or the second time, go back through our catalog. I mean, you get Wade Jennings' grandson, and you get Levi Lowry, who wrote a #1 song in country music, and Appalachian Roadshow guys, they were Grammy-winning artists. It's and we always still continue to mix in, the Franklin County vibe. We always had the woodshop episodes, and, we'd go up to the cabin and do some shows, and we'd try and keep it, local amongst our friends and stuff, and still, from time to time, bring on here, people from the area that, have a lot to offer and have really good stories. But, until this past week, I think we were lacking here, actually, in our hometown. We really hadn't got the traction that I kind of expected or hoped for until we had the Philip Bain episode about a week ago. And it's gotten really weird. I'm not going to lie. See, and for anybody that is listening the first time, I know, or the, first week you're listening after you recognize that Philip Bain show, we talk a lot about politics. We talk about a lot about local government, and I am not somebody that really buys into the system at all. I'm an anarchist. I'm an anarcho-capitalist, if you want to get down to it. Political ideology, I guess you could say libertarian. I am a card-carrying member of the Libertarian Party, but most of them even get on my nerves a lot of the times. I am a fan of the current state of the Libertarian Party, the Beltway Libertarians, the ones who just want a seat at the table with the establishment cronies in the Democrat and Republican Party have been ousted. They didn't really share any libertarian ideals or values. I thought in this last election, I had to hold my nose to vote for Jo Jorgensen, who was the Libertarian candidate, simply because I thought her campaign was a train wreck in a time period where we had the most important events taking place, at least in our lifetime, at least in my lifetime. And we were facing lockdowns. You had to wear a face diaper to go anywhere. They were trying to require you to have a vaccine to just be able to go eat and get food in some places. Now, granted, we didn't see all that right here in this town. I know the Harvester here locally did something like that, and I was heavily against that. Still am to this day, and still kind of bitter about that. I'm not a fan of how the Harvester has been run in this town. I think there's a whole lot better ways we could approach it. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's a phenomenal idea. I think being part of the Crooked Road, I think having local music here and bringing different acts to the area and getting people to come visit the town is a phenomenal thing. That being said, I'm not a fan of the fact that we don't really have local bands come. We don't have local bands not only premiered, but get them out there and let them open for some of these big acts. Try to make some kind of deal. Well, hey, if you come here, let one of our local guys, that way we can kind of intermingle it just a little bit, use the place more often than it's being used, And I'm just not a fan of government overall. And I know we've had a lot of reactions over the past week and a half, a lot of messages, most of them have been positive. Most of them have been like, hey, look, we're kind of fed up with how the government's been running this town, town council, mayor, whatever their gripe may be. We've got a lot of private messages, a lot of concerned people, and it's really not something that I expected to fall into our lap. But that being said, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to get here and speak. Somebody's got to give, a voice to the people who aren't being heard. And you're not going to get that from corporate media. You're not going to get that from local newspapers. You're not going to get it from local TV stations. They just don't have the time. You might get 30 seconds here or there. You might get a 4-paragraph article, whatever the case may be. But this form of communication, this outlet right here, a podcast, people can come on, they can sit, they can talk, and really get their story out. And, we had Philip on here the other day, and whatever way you slice it, because I've had people come up to me and tell me, well, you don't know this side and this side, and that's fair. And we offer, once again, anybody and everybody wants to come on and tell their side the opportunity to do it. What I see, just as a normal, everyday, average citizen, is a place that has been under construction and then stopped, and maybe under construction and stopped again for quite some time now, wondering why this facility hasn't been open yet. I think it would be a wonderful asset to our downtown area. And, went in conjunction with the Harvester. And I'd mentioned that tonight at the town council meeting. I said, get these bands in here that like to play 2 or 3 night runs. They will bring in a ton of people from out of town that will come in and they will stay in our hotels for 2 or 3 nights. They'll spend their money, this and this and this. But my issue is that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And no matter how good the person is, no matter what intentions they have, I think once they get into a position of power, things start changing a little bit. And it's not to a fault of their own. I just think it's nature. It's human. Once you get to the top of the food chain, you want to start dictating more than you would if you were just hanging out down at the bottom. And that's not to throw anything personal against anybody out here. I know, like I said, it's gotten kind of contentious and some things have been said. But, on this show, as a reaction to the town council meeting, I just want to be able to give credit where credit is due. And so, Simon came and joined us tonight, and we went and listened. It was the first time I'd ever been in a town council meeting. I went to the Board of Supervisors, I think in high school, because they made us go. And that was back when my grandpa was serving on the Board of Supervisors. And I don't even remember much about it. It was boring to me, but about like tonight was boring, which is it's contradictory to my personality, because I'm very involved, and I have a degree in political science, and I enjoy the processes and stuff like that. But when it gets down to the bare knuckle bones and procedures and stuff like that, it's so mind-bogglingly boring. And so, I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't been to one before it, but I planned on speaking. I know that here in the last week and a half, we've jumped straight to the forefront of everybody's attention, and we appreciate that. We appreciate people coming and tuning in and listening to us. And of course, we've had a few people, mention the language and stuff, and apologize about that. Not every show, has bad language at all. Most of them don't, but you start getting heated, you start getting a little fired up, and things happen. So I encourage you and urge you to just go back and listen to some of our other shows and listen to us going forward. It's not always going to be like that. We're going to have, just had Abe Naff on a couple days ago, which you can go find on our Patreon page for just $3 a month. It'll, for subscriber content, it'll be out in a few weeks here, to the public, but the Patreon page is a good way to support us and what we're doing. So it's not always like that. It's not always contentious. It just happens to be that time of the year. And we've gotten to a position now where people are tuning in. So anyway, so we go to the town council meeting tonight, and we go in there and I sign up to speak, and they go through all their procedural stuff. And I think one of the issues that was brought up is Philip Bain, who we've had on the show, there was just a piece of land behind his property that they were trying to figure out whether to give to him or not. It was just a pile of dirt, essentially. And I guess his plans for it, maybe for an outdoor patio, whatever the case may be. It's just nonsense to be fighting and bickering over something so trivial. And I think that was my biggest that was my biggest thing with all of this is, look, I know everybody's got their sides of the story, and all I hear is procedural stuff and zoning issues and all this kind of stuff, which goes back to my point that we just have way too much government, way too much red tape. And it ends up getting contentious over that. Feelings get hurt, people get upset, and then things just kind of start escalating. Now, and I know Philip came on here and gave his side of the story, and I encourage once again everybody that is on the other side, hey, reach out to us. We'll afford you the same the same ability to come on here and speak your mind, regardless of what we've said about you or regardless of what you think we think about you. I was a little bit surprised by tonight. It was, like I said, really weird. So we go in there and they do their thing and they ask you to sign up to go speak. Of course, I went and signed up and end up being the only one up there. And despite what people may think, I'm not a very good public speaker. Especially when I had a couple in me. I think if I'd have had a couple beers in me, I might have taken the edge off. But then again, who knows what taking the edge off might have led me down, what path it might have led me down. Because to be perfectly honest, I'd went in there tonight and I was full of piss and vinegar, and I was ready to just take on everything I could head on. I'm kind of glad it didn't turn out that way. It ended up being a more very lulled and uneventful kind of situation, like I said, because nobody else spoke. But I will give the town credit where credit is due. They ended up ceding the property to Philip Bain. Now he can go do whatever he wants to with it, because it was just such a nonsense. I mean, you're talking about 1,200 square feet of just dirt back there, and just give it to him, sell it to him, whatever the case may be. So credit to the town for just getting that done, not tabling it and going on and just trying to get past all of this nonsense. And, credit to the people that came up to me and spoke to me, and Simon, of course, at the town council meeting. Even Steve Angle, I know, he came up and shook my hand and asked me about my family, and respect him for that. I don't have anything personal against Steve. It doesn't matter who's in his position. I'm just not a fan of the government, and that's just what it boils down to. So I'm just trying to hold anybody accountable that's in that position, whether it's Steve now or Holland later or anybody. I'm not going to stop holding them accountable. I'm not going to stop asking questions. I'm not going to quit asking for transparency. And I think we should all be like that. But I'm also guilty of, and John Hatcher Ferguson Hatcher Ferguson came up to me tonight afterwards at Ippy's. We'll just go through everything. He come up a little irritated with, how we had portrayed the town in our last episode, and fair enough. I get it. I understand from his point of view that the town's been good to him. It's been good to a lot of people, but I appreciate the folks that come up to me and give us the feedback. And I get it. I understand to where if you listen to that show, you would think we were just full of piss and vinegar, which isn't necessarily the case. It just, he said, hey, just chill out a little bit, and respect him for that. Respect him for coming up and speaking to us and being cordial. But I get so fed up with the bureaucratic red tape and the nonsense. And I think that's where we all differ as a town, because a lot of the people don't understand it. They don't want to understand it. They just don't want to be taxed straight into the grave. But, all that being said, kudos to Steve for coming up to us. Like I said, it was nothing personal against him. I don't got nothing personal against any of these guys. None of them on the town council, none of any of these government positions. It's just a position. And I would just prefer them, be gone. And we can have this whole talk later. We can go into all this deeper. I just wanted to kind of let everybody know how the night went overall. So, of course, we, went up there and spoke my piece. I basically said that I'm tired of the bickering. I'm tired of the fighting. I didn't know Philip Bain until a week ago. I've got no ties to him. We've got no ties to any of these people, really. I just got ties to the town. And I love this town. And I started this show for this town, for this community. And as of right now, there's a lot of people who don't see the good in it. And for whatever reason, I want those people to see the good. I want those people to see that we have a chance to become a special place. And I think there's just such a disconnect right now, between our government officials and the citizens. And I don't really know the best way to approach it. And so, yes, we get a little contentious on here. Maybe we shouldn't have been as fiery as we were. So for that, we do apologize. And well, no, I'm not going to apologize for being fiery. I'm just going to say maybe we should have handled it in a different way. I'm going to apologize for being myself and being passionate. But anyway, so I spoke and I addressed town council and I said, look, I think me and Citizens Loan were just fed up with it. We're fed up with the nonsense, the red tape. There's no reason that we can't find a way to make this all work. And, went on about it for a few minutes. I was kind of nervous, I ain't going to lie to you. Like I said, a couple beers might have helped me out, but finished my speech up, went and sat back down, gave me a round of applause, and finished up the show. After that, a handful of people came up to me and spoke to me and said, appreciate what you said and appreciate what you did. And, even some people that I didn't expect. And, even some of the police that were there that were present, came up to me and said, I really enjoyed what you said. And I just wanted to address them as well. I know a lot of times I'm on here and I'm talking about, when I say abolish the police, I'm not saying it from the same perspective that we don't need police. I'm just saying abolish it from the government standpoint. I think that much like our teachers, that our policemen would be better well served in a private setting. I think they would get paid more. I think they'd have better training. They would have better ways to de-escalate these situations, and they'd be happier about their jobs. And you could also weed out the ones at the bottom who don't belong there. Cut out some of this, the road piracy stuff. Cut out some of the, cops, they're revenue generators. They write tickets to get money for the towns. Cut some of that stuff out. Of course, now this is like 9 layers down in the onion that I'm talking about that we're not going to go into right now. But I want the people to know that when I say things like that, even the cops around here, I don't mean that they're worthless, and I don't mean I don't like them. I don't mean that I don't appreciate what they do. I just think they'd be better served in a private setting. So I do appreciate them coming up to me and speaking with me. I appreciate being able to have that back and forth. And so between the police officers and the citizens, did have one lady come up to me and say, I listened to your show for the first time this week. And then she just kind of eyeballed me and said, I didn't like that cussing. And I said, don't listen to the rest of the episodes then. And I was just kind of half joking with her, and I think she thought I took it seriously. And she just rolled her eyes at me and turned around and walked out the door. But I don't, that's neither here nor there. I just thought it was kind of funny. But, a lot of the people that are part of the town, appreciated it. Somebody has to be a buffer. And whatever you think, it's that buffer isn't Franklin News Post, and that's not the Roanoke Times anymore. You can say what you want to, but they've proven themselves time and time again to be biased one way, shape, or form. I don't got no trust in them at all. And part of my distrust in the government comes from the media apparatus. I mean, I think a lot of times they work hand in hand. They don't give you the full story, and whether they could or not, it's irrelevant. It just doesn't happen. So somebody has to be that buffer, and I don't mind being it. I just never expected we'd get to this point. So I do appreciate everybody that came up to me at the town council meeting and said hello. And I do appreciate them reaching out. I also appreciate the town council and getting the job done as far as giving that parcel of land, however it turned out, not tabling it. Like I said, give credit where credit is due. We'll take that as a victory. I just want this whole situation to be behind us, have the hotel opened, and we can move on as a county or as a town. So, that's what it was. That's pretty much all it was at the town council. It was very uneventful. I really thought that it would be a little bit different, more contentious, but it wasn't. So, a couple of people that were there invited us out to, our local watering hole here over at Ippy's, which was a good time. I appreciate the invite to go over there and hang out a little bit afterwards and just kind of talk about a few things. And there were, folks there running for office that were hanging around, and there was, a couple of people from the town that actually showed up. And it's weird once you get away from the stuffiness of a town council meeting and the rigors of arguing left and right. If you just sit down with somebody and have a conversation, you learn a lot about them. And I had a chance to sit down and talk with Ben Mullins quite a bit tonight. He's running for town council, and I think he'd be a phenomenal addition. He's young, he's passionate, he's got children he's looking out for. He really wants his town to thrive. And, like I said, I can read people fairly well, and I got that read out of him and got to talk to him for quite some time. He's just an average guy. Don't want to say average like it's a negative thing, but he just one of us. He's just a person that just wants to see the best for this town, and he's going out of his way to run for town council and make sure that happens. So hopefully maybe we can get him on the show at some point in time and sit down and kind of just talk with him and go about our business. And so it was nice to sit there and meet him. And, we had a town official come sit down at the bar with us and kind of explain how things are going. And look, I know the town's got their side, and I know Philip Bain's got his side. And I appreciate everybody coming to us and at least trying to inform us as much as they possibly can. Because I know at times, and we're guilty of it as everybody else, you just kind of get irritated about something and you kind of harp on it and you fail to see, you get tunnel vision. And you just have to kind of pull yourself back and say, okay, well, these people are human as well. Let's just have the conversation. And it was a good talk. We had the town officials that, I don't want to give out their names or anything because it ended up getting kind of weird. Because somebody else there was a little tipsy and started screaming and hollering at the town official. And I think that led some other patrons to believe that we were part of all this nonsense. And so they come over and it got a little contentious again. And look, I want to be approachable. I want anybody in this town to come up to me if they've got a problem, if they got an issue, and speak to us. Let us put you on. If you don't want to be put on, just give us the information. We'll see what we can do with it. And that's what I have noticed over the past week and a half is just all the stuff people have been sending me. And a lot of it, I don't even want to do nothing with. Like it's, you send me dirt on people or look into this and look into that. And man, these are some deep trenches that I don't even know if we're prepared to go down or even want to go down. Because who knows if it's true? Who knows if it's just somebody with a vendetta or somebody's being vindictive? You just have to, we're not equipped to really fact check and prepare and do all this kind of stuff. We're working people. We got jobs, we got families, and we're not journalists, not in the traditional sense. I mean, these should be things that the newspapers should be covering, but unfortunately they don't. So we do appreciate that information and keep sending this to us, and we'll do what we can with it. We'll dissect it as much as we can, but there are questions that need to be asked. We need to find out why things are happening. We need to find out why the harvester isn't performing like it should, or why it's in the state it's in. We need to find out why the hotel isn't under construction or at the moment. We need to find out these things, but we need to sit there and find a way to talk about them. We need to find a way to be more connected to our community. And all I can say is I just urge people to go out there and just get involved. Just go to a town council meeting, meet the people, humanize them. I think maybe when the disconnect comes from us not showing up and then them not being more accessible, and I think we got to find a way to bridge that gap. And the way we do it is more people show up to the town council meetings. More people demand accountability, transparency, demand that your voice be heard. And I'm not saying that, and I even learned that tonight, because like I said, I went in there with piss and vinegar in my veins. I did a good job not being like that, because then you humanize yourself and you humanize the people in front of you, and they can do the same. So if you're not there and they don't see you, and you go out places and you don't see them, well then, I mean, what are you talking about? But if you actually get in front of somebody, you realize that a lot of that stuff goes away. A lot of those negative feelings, a lot of those negative vibes, because you're just talking to another person, and maybe you can find out why they make the decisions they do. Maybe you won't, but at least you might get a good read on them, and at least they know you're there. If you're not there, well, how do they come to a way to really care about what you think if you don't ever show up and tell them what you think? So I think that's the first step through all of this. And hopefully we'll be at more town council meetings. And hopefully we can put this squabbling behind us, because, I like Philip Bain. I think he's a genuine enough individual. He's trying to come to this town, and he's trying to breathe some new life into our downtown area. And I welcome that. And I welcome that for anybody else. And I know there's a lot of things going on between him and the town, not all that we know about. But for when we do know, I'm just not very happy with it. With that being said, I think that doesn't have to be the end all be all of things. I think we take this negative situation that we've been presented with in the past couple of weeks, and we find a way to spin it around and twist it into a positive. And that's the only hope we've got. And from there, we can just start, peeling back those layers of onions and finding out where the problems are, what the town really wants, what the citizens really want, and try and come to a compromise. And that's it. That's a long and short of it. Just humanize yourself, be available, be there, or otherwise, what are we talking about? If you can't go, and I'm guilty of this too. I never showed up before, and maybe that's what a lot of my animosity came from. But like I said, you go there and you humanize yourself, and you never know what can happen next. So I think tonight it was weird. It was really weird because, like I said, I didn't expect the people to speak to me that did. I didn't expect the positive feedback that we got it in the way that we got it. So I do appreciate those people, and I thank them for at least coming and extending out a hand. It's more than I expected, and I'm pleased with it. So I just wanted to get on here for a little bit and kind of explain how the night went and let everybody know that maybe there's a chance we can just work through all this and put it behind us and find a way to get along and not be so contentious with things. And for anybody out there that's listening to this and you want to come on here once again, hey, just reach out to us. You know where we're at. You know how to find us. And from here moving forward, we'll see how things work. But we really would like to get, Philip Bain and Ben Mullins maybe back on here to talk about their candidacy, and anybody else that would like to come on and talk about, their candidacy or anything else they have in mind. Look, I know there's, once again, two sides to every story, so bring them all on here and let the people decide. With all that being said, I just think that we did a positive thing tonight. I think that at the end of the day, just showing up is what we need to do. So for everybody out there listening, just go back and listen to some of other shows. We appreciate all the new listeners we've got, and just keep your ear to the ground. Learn about these guys. Learn how you want to vote, and let's just go out from there. And all that being said, just thank you again for tuning in. Thank Simon for going up there with me tonight and sitting around and kind of walking me through my first little incident of government bureaucracy. And for everybody that's reached out to us in the past couple of weeks for listening, we certainly appreciate you, and we hope to move forward with a whole lot better content. So take it easy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.